Live from clickorlando.com, this is News 6 at 5:30. This is a News 6 Plus takeover. Here now is Matt Austin and Ginger Gadsden with Florida's Fourth Estate.
Hey, it's been another big week for the beautiful state of Florida, and we wanted to celebrate the end of it with you here on Florida's Fourth Estate. We have an awesome guest talking about the Disney versus DeSantis drama that seems to change by the day. It's like a 12-round boxing match where one's winning one round, the other's winning the next round.
Yeah, it has been a very busy week here in Florida. So we're going to talk about some of the headlines, and so we're going to get right to it because the first headline I want to talk about is a crazy story. It happened in Orange County. And Matt, if you don't believe in miracles, then I don't know what to tell you on this one. It was a crash like we had not seen in a long time. A car just goes careening down the street, and we have no idea why the driver lost control. That's still being investigated. But it hit a 71-year-old construction worker who was on the sidewalk doing his job. It killed that construction worker, slammed into the front porch of this family's home. And thank goodness there was a post there on that front porch, because behind that post was a mom with her baby. That is the only thing that stopped the car from careening into them. When I saw the video and heard this story, I'm like, that is nothing but a guardian angel right there, because this story could have had, it's tragic that a 71-year-old person lost his life, but it could have been even more devastating if that mom and her baby had been killed.
A tough story, but at least for that mom and that baby, it turned out okay. I would like to lighten things up a little bit. I want to show you some pretty wild video. Yes, sharks.
Sharks in the water?
Not just any sharks, though. Great white sharks. Okay, people don't think of Florida as being a place where you see great white sharks. This is a juvenile, about 10 to 12 feet. So you know where Ponce Inlet is over there in Central Florida? About 20 miles off the coast, there's an area where they have artificial reefs where these fishermen, they go out and they fish for grouper and snapper and that sort of thing. They started having this monster shark going around their boat, and they actually hooked into it. And they realized it when it started dragging the boat for like a half an hour. This thing is pulling the boat. And they finally got up close enough to get some video, get some pictures. Everybody passed around the reel and the rod. And so everybody could just kind of feel what it would be like to have this monster prehistoric creature on the line. So had a good time. It was some tourists from Nova Scotia who got to experience that. And what a wild experience that must have been, Gigi.
Yeah, people are always so surprised, though, to find we have lots of sharks here off the coast of Florida, because that's their home. That's like a shark knocking on your front door going, oh, fancy finding you in your living room.
Yeah, what are you doing here? This has been my migration route forever. Somebody hooked another one, a great white in Fort Lauderdale. We had an orca wash up this year, which I have never seen happen in the state of Florida.
Yeah, that was
kind
really
of weird
surprising.
things to see all these creatures popping up.
Yeah. That was weird. Okay, speaking of weird, as we do these headlines, this is Teacher Appreciation Week.
Oh, no. I did not think about that. Should we kill this story? No, let's do it.
No. This happened in Eustis, but here you have the headline right there. There's a middle school teacher. She's a substitute teacher, and she allowed a student in
Allegedly.
her classroom. Correct. She allegedly, because that saves you from all the lawsuits. Apparently, a student was somehow allowed to use her vape pen, and her response allegedly was she was just trying to just fit in. That's all. Yeah. Can you imagine as a parent hearing this? Well, honey, how was your day in school? Oh, yeah, I learned geography. I vaped a little bit. I did some math. What? What's that second one again?
By the way, if you're just listening to this, you don't see the mugshot. This is not like a 22-year-old teacher just out of school. This is a 50-year-old named Jennifer Hale who allegedly allowed a 7th grade student. I'm not talking a senior in high school. Not that that would be right either. Some of them are old enough to vape. Right. Hey, 7th grader. You want to hit my vape here? Like, what kind of
She just wanted to be popular. She just wanted to be popular. But I
man.
mean, the sad part is she's now facing a charge of child abuse, which that's
Yeah.
exactly what that is. But okay, teachers, there's no need to try and be that cool. You don't want to be that teacher. And
Right.
we're not trying to shame her, but it's like, let this be a cautionary tale. No vaping for your students, especially using your vape pen.
Hey, can we just say for all the rest of the teachers out there, I love you. And when we do stuff
Yes.
where I go into a classroom and I am in charge of those I'm not in charge, but I'm talking to those kids, trying to entertain them for like 20 minutes. It's the longest 20 minutes of my life. Every time I walk out of there, I'm like, why these teachers should make $1 million a year.
Just leave your credit card on the teacher's desk and you go like, just take what you need. Just, I mean,
Absolutely.
they're
Thank you,
godsend.
teachers.
So yes, exactly. Okay. Another story that caught our eye this week was, we talk about gators all the time, but this one was a crocodile. This happened in Monroe County, and this thing was huge. It was trying to get into a retention pond. There, look, you see the deputies, they're wrangling
This
it.
thing's a monster. This is a prehistoric creature.
Yeah, it's a croc, man, and it is no joke. These guys jumped into action to wrangle this thing before anyone got hurt.
A lot of people don't know that American crocodiles are a thing. We also have some caimans that shouldn't be here and plenty of stuff. But they should be able to relocate that thing, and hopefully it has a good, safe life away from people. Crocodiles, very reclusive little species there. So let's talk about another one. There was this wild story in Oviedo we have to tell you about that. They realized there were some potholes in the road, and they were like, maybe something's going on underneath the road that's causing these potholes. So they took a little robot and put it in a drain, and they started going into the drain. I'm going to play this video for you, and you can kind of see you're in this tunnel. It's wet on the bottom, and at the end you see two little lights. Those are eyes, all right? At first they thought maybe it was a toad. You're having a hard time telling what kind of scale this is, so they just keep trudging through the water and bringing the robot in. They're like, what is that? I would have loved to have had a camera on the people who are watching this video feed as they get in there, because you're like, what is this? How big is it? Frog? No, as we're getting to this point, that's a little too far apart to be a frog.
Bigger than a toaster, smaller than a bread box. I don't know.
Right. I know. Yeah. It's like, are you green? Do you swim? So yes, they get up on it, and somehow this 5-foot alligator got in on this very long little pipe.
It looks cartoonish to me. Look,
imagine the gator, like, whoa, dude, what is going on here? Wild.
It's stunned to see that little robot camera down there. It's like, okay, let's see what's going on down here. That's crazy. I'm sure that they're glad it was a camera and not a person down there investigating. Can you imagine?
Oh yeah. No, there's a reason. You don't send a person down there. That would have been a very tight fit. The gator's like, all right, fine, I'm out of here. It starts taking off, and eventually the little drone thing gets stuck, and the gator goes on his way. Welcome to the state of Florida, known for alligators and what else, Ginger?
Oh, Disney. And when we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to have our political analyst talk about Disney versus DeSantis, the saga that seems to be never ending. That's coming up.
Glad to have you here with us for Florida's fourth estate. Well, I don't know if you've heard about this story, but Ron DeSantis and Disney have been going for each other's throats now for the better part of the last year.
I just feel like it's a chess game because, they're pieces and you just have to strategically move and you have to anticipate what the other person is doing. And the problem is, there was a point where one person didn't anticipate a really big move, and that caused some stirring about. So the perfect person to talk about this is our dear friend, UCF history professor, political analyst, Dr. Jim Clark.
I think we should start with where this all began, right?
How we got
Jim,
here.
It all started with the Parental Rights in Education Bill, also known as the Don't Say Gay Bill. It came out. It was very controversial with what teachers. He's saying, no, you disagree. That's not where it started.
Walt Disney picks Reedy Creek, the banks of Reedy Creek, to build his Disney World in 1963. And after his death, his brother Roy pushed through the legislature a package, a bill, giving them tremendous power. And for some very legitimate reasons. It sprawls over 2 counties. They didn't want to be answering to different governments and basically having interference as they carried out their plans. And it stayed like that for more than half a century until, as you point out, Matt, the so-called "Don't Say Gay" bill passed. Disney never said a word while it was being considered, and then the now former president of Disney, Bob Chapek, called the governor, said that Disney opposed the bill that had already passed, and went public with his objections. And that set the governor off.
In a huge way. And a lot of people are saying that he was very upset by Disney going against what he had proclaimed. And so then that led him to say, well, we're going to just get rid of all of these special privileges that you've had and enjoyed for so long. But it's the way in which it has been handled that has been so messy, Jim, and has caused so much controversy.
Yeah, this is a strange thing, Ginger, because for decades, Republicans had defended Disney and made sure it kept its power, gave it every year almost, they seemed to give it a tax break or a special power. A couple of years ago, they gave them a $500 million tax break. A couple of years ago, they exempted them from certain social media laws. So the Republicans have been overly kind to Disney. The Democrats have been more critical of Disney. And now we find the entire thing has swapped. It's the Republicans going after Disney and the Democrats, mainly from Orange County, defending Disney.
Yeah, that has been weird to see because this has flipped a lot, like you say. It's seeing Democrats who usually speak out against corporate greed and think everything should be fair have been lobbying that Disney should have its own special taxing district and basically no government regulations over itself, which is certainly odd. And I do want to clarify because we were saying that this all started because they spoke out against the Parental Rights and Education Bill or Don't Say Gay. Well, one of the big things they announced when they spoke out was Disney said, we're also no longer going to contribute to politicians. And a lot of people think that was the key because no longer were Republicans getting that money. And now some people are saying that was a part of this punishment. Jim, how big of a role do you think that played in this?
Disney has been a continual giver of money. But I think more importantly, they were also a giver of free tickets. Just a couple of months ago, for example, Universal gave the Republicans $400,000 in freebies, the legislators. And so these people were used to coming to Disney on Disney's dime, having a great vacation and things like that. And now Disney was saying, no more of that.
But the bigger issue came in when they thought they had signed over the special district that Disney no longer had control. And then they read the fine print, Jim. And that seemed to be something that it was almost like you put a stink bomb and set it off. And that really got things going again.
It certainly did. Disney has very, very smart lawyers. And, you and I and Matt wondered for the past year why Disney had been relatively quiet. They had not been lobbying the legislature, even though they have 38 lobbyists in Tallahassee. They had not been issuing statements. It seemed like they had given up, if you will. And then all of a sudden they dropped the bomb.
They knew something.
They did, yeah. And it was a pretty effective bomb at the time. Everybody was like, is this checkmate? And then that's when things got maybe a little more weird, because I think a lot of people were on this. I can't say a lot of people, but a decent amount of time. You could look at the situation up until that point and say, Ron DeSantis is winning this. He's gotten a lot of national credibility. He's been all over all of the news stations, particularly Fox News, where his base is. And he's looked pretty good. Looks like he's taken on corporate greed, woke Disney, and he's doing well. Then this moment happens where Disney basically turns the board that Ron DeSantis was going to use to make these big decisions at Disney and to hold over them. And Disney just flipped it, did a kind of a little
It was a gotcha.
deal. It was a gotcha moment. And then DeSantis took things a step further with his rhetoric. He started saying, maybe we'll build a prison there. Maybe we'll put toll roads in at Disney World. And that's when that's when people who are maybe on his side, like, yeah, this is unfair, you could do this, start saying, well, now are you just punishing a business just because they made you mad? Which brings in a whole other list of constitutional issues.
It seemed personal to a lot of people.
So where are we now with that, Jim? Because legally, constitutionally, can a government go after a business, and Disney's suing for this right now, because basically it got personal?
Yeah, that's going to be what the courts are going to decide, maybe even the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, not this one, but a previous Supreme Court, in a rather obscure case involving a tow truck company, where the tow truck driver criticized the mayor, and the mayor removed him from the list of city-approved tow truck companies. And the Supreme Court ruled government cannot punish someone for free speech. So they have come down on this previously. And certainly there is ample evidence, as you point out, that this was personal. The threats, one state representative, Randy Fine from Brevard County, said publicly, we are targeting Disney. And the Supreme Court has said you cannot target anybody for using free speech.
Yeah, and some people would even argue beyond that, Jim. Why in the world would anyone target in this way perhaps the world's best known company, where families spend a lifetime saving up to come to Central Florida? It is your bread and butter. It's this place that contributes $1 billion in state taxes almost every single year, has 70,000 employees. Why would you target this place where so many people make such memories of a lifetime, and even the governor himself got married there?
Yeah, as you point out, the governor got married there, although he stipulated there could be no Disney characters at his wedding. So Mickey was not at the governor's wedding. But, I think
that's when it started.
I think, as you pointed out, that when this started, he had a great deal of support. And everyone, I think, including the governor, thought this was over. The book he wrote that came out several months ago had a chapter on his victory over Disney. He had proclaimed victory. And I think everyone was surprised when a whole new chapter erupted in this case.
Do you feel like DeSantis is going to pull back, maybe try to let this fade, or is he just too pot committed at this point and he's just got to go full bore after Disney still?
Well, you two have covered politics long enough to know that every candidate sets up a political action committee, and they usually have flowery names like Fund for America or, effort to improve the world. His is called Never Back Down. and I think that's where he comes from.
I've thought the whole time that there was going to be some backroom deal that caused them to work it out, but that doesn't happen yet. So we'll see what happens. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, my friend. You are always very enlightening, and we'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Bye, Clarkopedia.
Clarkopedia.
And thank you for watching Florida's Fourth Estate. You can download it from wherever you listen to podcasts or watch anytime on News 6 Plus.